Welcome to the August Hoboken Board of Education meeting. Mr. Moffett, do you want to read the statement of compliance?
Yes, ma'am. This meeting is being held in conformity to the Open Public Meeting Act. Proper public notice of the meeting was published in the local papers on August 18, 2018 and August 19, 2018. If any board member or member of the public in attendance believes that this meeting is in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, the Hoboken Board of Education requests that they make a statement at this time. The board wishes to make those in attendance aware that this meeting is being recorded on video and will be broadcast by the board at a later date on cable television channel 77 and FiOS channel 46. The full meeting recording will also be made available on board docs, which can be accessed through the district's homepage. The Hoboken Board of Education is committed to preserving the decorum of the public process and is mindful that we live in an electronic age of computers, cell phones, and other electronic communication devices. Nevertheless, we respectfully request that all meeting participants kindly silence their electronic devices during the course of the meeting, and if use of the device is necessary, we ask that you please leave the meeting room if you need to conduct personal business. Please rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Moffett, please call roll, please.
Call roll.
Yes.
Ms. Angley?
Here.
Ms. Evans?
Here.
Ms. Khanna?
Here.
Mr. Madigan?
Here.
Ms. Takirian?
Here. The superintendent will be giving a comprehensive report at the September 11th board meeting. Mr. Moffett, do you have anything from the business office?
As far as to report?
Yes.
No, I don't.
No. Okay, then we are going to jump right into committee reports. First will be curriculum and instruction, which I'll report out on for Ms. Delara. The Curriculum Committee met on Wednesday, August 15th at 1 p.m. In attendance were Dr. Johnson, Mr. Delafave, Mr. Klupfel, Ms. Evans, and myself. There's one resolution on the agenda this month which the committee recommends for approval. It's 8.01, approval of agreement between NJ Advanced Media and Local Live Networks and Hoboken High School. This resolution is for the Hoboken High School to participate in NJAM's High School Sports Video Network. Other items the committee discussed were gifted and talented program overview and updates. The program guidelines and rubric are accessible on the district website. We discussed the challenge and support period updates. Curriculum and program guidelines have been developed. Project-based learning guides have been developed for every project, and all students in a given grade will be doing the same PBLs 2 days per week during this period. We discussed the Freshman Foundations program, which will be a required class for all 9th graders to take during PGP. There are 4 strands to this class, which are 10 sessions each, and they include academic study skills, social skills, mindfulness, and productive relationship building, transition, self-management, self-care, and safety, civic mindfulness, and digital citizenship. We also discussed the updated and enhanced curriculum for the 18-19 courses, including the middle school PGP enrichment courses, K through 8 science, K through 8 math, 3 through 6 ELA, 7th and 8th grade humanities, K to 12 world language, 7th and 8th grade Latin, Hispanic culture and history in the high school, African culture and history in the high school, medical interventions grades 9 through 12, aerospace engineering 9 through 12, computer science in grades 9 through 12, and AP capstone, which is also 9 through 12. We discussed the recess legislation, which applies to grades K through 5 and requires 20 minutes of recess per day outside if possible. All district students have 20 minutes of recess per day, and depending on the school location, that would drive the location of the recess. Pumptonian, our food service provider, has been working on new and updated menu items for the upcoming school year. They will be sharing the new menu for September with Dr. Johnson soon. And finally, new teacher orientation will be held on August 27th and 28th. There will be a middle school family barbecue on September 4th to kick off the new school year. And professional development days for teachers will be September 4th and 5th, with school opening on September 6th. Next, moving to facilities, which is Ms. Sobolov. Let's skip that and then maybe move to finance, which is me again. The Finance Committee met on Wednesday, August 15th at 7:30. In attendance were Dr. Johnson, Mr. Moffitt, Mr. Klipfel, Mr. Madigan, Ms. Khanna, and myself. The committee reviewed all agenda items and recommends all for board approval. I just wanted to point out a few items. 10.07, approval of contracts. This is a pass-through funding contract. The state provides funding for the non-public nursing services through a grant, which pays for this contract, and that services non-public students in Hoboken, so at private schools, et cetera. 10.08, approval of special services, awards, and appointments for the 2017-18 school year. These are contract increases based on services that came out of existing IEPs. The previously approved contract amounts needed to be revised. Items 10.09 and 10.10 both relate to capital projects. 10.09 authorizes the district architects to submit appropriate documentation to the NJDOE for the Demarest Living Classroom and Playground and boiler replacements at JFK Stadium, Calabro, Connors, and Demarest. We also have some donations on the agenda tonight. We want to thank Project A-Game, which is 7-Eleven's charity, for their generous donation to Brant School. And thank you to the Hoboken soccer patrons for their donation of goalie clinic and lessons for the girls soccer team. We appreciate both of those generous donations. And that's finance. Moving on to governance.
Okay. The Governance and Personnel Committee met on Wednesday, August 15th. In attendance were myself, Ms. Khanna, Ms. Sobolov, Mr. Klipfel, and Superintendent Johnson. We reviewed all agenda items and recommend them for approval tonight. As you can see, as is typical at this time of year, most items reflect preparations for the upcoming school year. I did want to just point out a couple of them. 9.08, approval of volunteers for the theater department. I'm sure we're all looking forward to some great shows again this year, and we wanted to thank the volunteers for their support of the students. Item 9.18, approval of agreement between Stevens Institute of Technology and the Hoboken Board of Education. This is one of the many things that we partner with Stevens, and this is the third year in which Stevens students will offer academic tutoring to students in our after-school programs, and we thank them for that. And finally, the committee discussed the district's next State of New Jersey CUSAC District Performance Review, and this will be occurring in the 2019-2020 school year. And the superintendent and staff have already begun the process to prepare for this review. And that concludes my report.
I do have the facilities report, so I'll read Ms. Sobolov's report out. The Facilities Committee met on August 15th, 2018. In attendance were Mr. Callaghy, Dr. Johnson, Mr. Klipfel, Ms. Sobolov, and myself. The topics discussed included the boiler replacement projects, summer projects. A variety of summer projects are underway and will be scheduled to be completed shortly. The middle school bathroom, middle school and high school water fountains, high school sidewalk repairs, and the expansion of the high school aquaponics room, which includes the fish tanks and hydroponic gardens. The initial planning and preparations are underway for the construction of the living classroom and outdoor activity area for the Hoboken Middle School. And that was it. So that concludes the committee reports. Does anyone have any questions? No?
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
because Ms. Evans brought it up, it's never too early to think about and get excited about the theater department. So just so that everybody knows and is aware, the all-district musical this year will be Cinderella. So look forward to that in May of 2019.
Thank you. The next order of business is public comment on agenda items only. Would you mind? Okay, so now we can do the consent agenda. We are going to vote on that excluding Section 9, which is personnel, and then we'll address that Section 9 separately. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Moffett, can you please call the roll?
So, Mr. Kirian, and then seconded by Ms. Khanna.
Yeah.
And I'll take, and that's just minus the whole section of 9, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Angley?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna?
Yes.
Mr. Madigan?
Abstain on 10.05 and yes on everything else.
Mr. Kirian?
Yes.
That's a 5 affirmative, except for 10.05. I believe that all passes.
Okay.
Yes.
Next, we'll have public comments on agenda or non-agenda items.
Section 9 first.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so let me explain what we need to do for Section 9. Because for the reasons I'm going to explain, there are segments of that section where we will not have a quorum of the board available to participate. So there's one section where there is a candidate for the board being considered for a personnel appointment, and Mr. Madigan would choose to abstain there, lest there be a suggestion that he participated in the hiring of someone who would now no longer be eligible to be a candidate for the board, since you cannot be an employee of the board and a board member. So if Mr. Madigan were to abstain, there would be only 4 board members available to consider that appointment. That's a lack of a quorum, and you need 5 affirmative votes for being retained by the board. Similarly, we have a situation where Ms. Takarian, who is being considered as a volunteer, the board approves that for insurance reasons. She would abstain on her own name, and once again, we'd be in a position where there's not a quorum of the board available to consider her volunteer status, and therefore she'd be ineligible to be considered. So the law provides for an outlet that boards of education often use. Typically, while it's used rarely, it's typically used in situations where under the new, more stringent ethics laws, board members have relatives working for the district, and as a result, you don't have a quorum of the board that can vote on a collective bargaining agreement. Obviously, that could not thwart the board from having a collective bargaining agreement, just as it can't thwart the board from hiring people in advance of the commencement of the school year. And the solution provided by law is called the doctrine of necessity. Raise that when you're at a bar or with your kids. Everyone will be super impressed that you're familiar with the doctrine of necessity. The essence of the doctrine is that through an explanation, which I have just provided, the board can transparently conduct its business by invoking the doctrine of necessity and thereby allowing board members who are otherwise inclined to or obligated to abstain to participate in a lawful fashion. So it is my recommendation to the board to allow for the appropriate consideration of the aforementioned items on the personnel agenda to invoke the doctrine of necessity for the reasons that I have described in a tedious but transparent fashion for the members of the public. And so with that, Madam President, it is my recommendation that you seek a motion to invoke the doctrine of necessity for tonight's personnel agenda for the reasons I have placed on the record.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Moffett, can you call the roll, please?
Miss Angley,
Yes.
Miss Evans,
Yes.
Miss Khanna,
Yes.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
and Miss Takirian.
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll vote separately on Section 9. Again, do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Moffett, can you call the roll?
Miss Angley,
Yes.
Miss Evans,
Yes.
Miss Khanna,
Yes.
Mr. Madigan,
I just want to double check, Mr. Gagliardi, I'm allowed to vote yes on this item now.
You are allowed to vote as you see fit, sir.
Okay, yes.
and Miss Takirian.
Yes.
That's 5 affirmatives as well.
Okay, now we are on to public comments on consent or, on agenda or non-agenda items. No one. Okay. I just wanted to...
Would you like me to talk some more about the doctrine of necessity?
No. Sure, yeah. I just wanted to make one statement. The board had planned on holding interviews tonight for the vacant trustee position, but due to scheduling and vacation conflicts leaving us with a partial board, interviews will be postponed until the September 11th board meeting. The deadline to fill the vacant trustee position is not until the end of September, and the board received only one applicant. Therefore, the board will be re-advertising the position to ensure a fruitful process. And Dr. Johnson, you wanted to say something?
I just want to, although they're not with us tonight, congratulate all of our new staff members that are going to be joining us for the 2018-2019 school year. As all of you know, on the board, we've added some additional positions to meet our growing enrollment, along with some positions that are filling retirements, et cetera. We have a very vibrant and well-qualified and exciting new staff. They'll all be with us for a new teacher orientation on Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we're excited about that. There's also a couple of appointments on the agenda that I think are significant appointments. As you're seeing staff members who have put in a lot of time and energy in the district, and they're taking on leadership roles. So without pointing out all of them, there are a number of coordinator positions that you have approved tonight that I think will not only wholeheartedly benefit the district, but will contribute to the leadership capacity and desire of some of these individuals who want to put in extra time and help the district in a variety of ways. One in particular is Mr. Sheridan, who was appointed this evening as the new Dean of Students and Programs at Brant Elementary School. He's with us this evening. That's why I'm pointing this out in particular. Congratulations, Mr. Sheridan. We think you're going to do a great job.
Are there any other comments?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to just show appreciation for Ms. Angley stepping up tonight and led us a very fine job as president tonight. As acting president, I think you did a great job tonight.
Thanks. All right. On that note, can we have a motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.